Welcome, everyone, to another edition of 10-Minute Misconduct, where we catch you up on all of the latest Leafs news, all the biggest stories, look at the week that just passed and the week ahead. So let's get started. I'm Joe Choffs. I'm here with the boys, Coach Frank, Bobby Bottles. Bobby is back. And of course, no better timing than after a huge Vancouver Canucks win over the Toronto Maple Leafs. You knew he'd be back after that to boast right in our ears. So, Bobby, go at it. Go for it. Go for it.
I thought that Thatcher Demko was the second best young goalie prospect, and I told you guys how good he is. The only thing I got wrong was I thought he was second to Carter Hart, and it turns out he's second to Igor Shesterkin from the Rangers.
Shesty's been incredible, having a heart-worthy campaign for sure. But Demko, I didn't think he was amazing to start the game. I saw an analogy on Twitter today that he was like the closer. They brought him in. As soon as Vancouver took the lead, it was almost like you knew the Leafs weren't going to be able to tie it. They brought in the closer, and he shut the door and made some huge saves. Like a Grant Fuhr effort. Allowed 4, but still made some huge saves to close out the win.
He faced like 50 shots. He still had a save percentage, over 900. He's a fantastic goalie, and he has to be because that is as poor defensively a team as I think I've ever watched. And I watched like the Leafs from like 2004 to like 2010.
Well, we're going to talk about goaltending and defense here, and I'm glad you brought that up. We'll use that to transition because the biggest news, everyone's been talking about it the last week or so, maybe more, is on the Leafs goaltending. Or is it the Leafs defense? Where are all the struggles coming from? And you just mentioned the Vancouver Canucks, not a great defensive team. And I want to point that out because I don't think people, especially Leaf fans, realize how poor other teams are defensively. But it's up to the goalie to make up for that and to make key saves. Even when the puck is deflected or when there's an on-man rush, the goalies are not responsible for just stopping the easy ones. They have to stop the really difficult ones as well. And that's what separates the great goalies from the average goalies. And as of right now, the Leafs have average goaltending, maybe. You know what? I wouldn't even say that. If they had average goaltending, they'd probably be leading the Atlantic Division. But they've had piss poor goaltending of late. So, Frankie, I'll kick it to you first. Do you think this is more of a defensive issue with the team or a goaltending issue with the team? I guess it's a chicken before the egg conversation. Right?
I've been flip-flopping back and forth. I know it's hard. It's easy to say, well, it's a bit of both because it really is. But Joe, how about for the longest time, whether it's been Campbell, Mrazek, Anderson, Reimer, it's always been the specific thing about not being labeled as a defensive-minded club, and that's fine. The Leafs are a run-and-gun team, right? They high-octane, high-offensive team, but they play as if they have a Demko, a Shesterkin, a Vasilevsky in the back, because if they make mistakes or give up odd-man rushes going back, they would have a lot of confidence in the goal that they're going to make those saves. Well, you know what? Not only are those ones going in, but now you're getting deflection goals going in, long range shots going in. Those can't go in. But I'm pointing the finger mostly at the defense. And I'll tell you why. This defense is made up of a lot of the same players, a lot of the same type of puck moving, high possession type defensemen, Sandin, Riley, Brody to an extent. He played like that way in Calgary, who's been a great safety net for the Leafs. Liljegren the same. Haula put in a different bin as well as Muzzin. But when you have a lot of the same guys, a lot of these undersized defensemen, they don't get the body positioning in front. Their boxing out is not great at all. Labushin's come in and provide he's been actually better than anticipated. Didn't really know much about him for Arizona, but he's been kind of provided that third pair, that rough type of defenseman that they were looking for, but still they need an upgrade. But again, even tonight against Columbus, just the positioning and long range job, teams are starting to figure it out. I thought Vancouver did an amazing job. They were just getting stuff to the net, pucks to the net. They couldn't box their guy out. And what happens? You hit a pant, you hit a stick, you hit 2 sticks, and it's in the back of the net. So, I'm not saying that maybe they have to change their defensive structure because they might play more of a zone type where they collapse. But something's got to be done on that in that we call the house in that hash mark in, because the body positioning has been atrocious and it's deflating. It's easy to point the finger, but yeah, should they have it? Yeah. But it really comes down to if a guy goes in front of the net, the defenseman plays him in front. Now you got two guys screening the goalie. But if he's boxing him out, those should not go in the net. It's plain. It's first. It's simple. Like let's not overcomplicate things and point the finger at the goalie, because reality is they're not getting a goalie, guys. I'd love to say they are, but they're not getting a goalie. It's not going to happen, especially with a character guy like Campbell. In the room, I think it would be more of a detriment to the room, if anything, if they bring another guy in. But what do you think?
Go ahead, Bobby.
I'll go with its goaltending, for the simple fact of I feel like he's letting in and both of them are letting in just soft goals, and you can deal with high quality chances. But quarterback and goaltending kind of go hand in hand, where, I hear the argument of, if the quarterback throws 3 picks, you're not going to win. If he throws 3 picks, he's not your quarterback. You kind of have to stay in like a Mendoza line of, if your save percentage is under 900, I don't know if that's the goaltending you need. I think that 900 is the benchmark, and
it's the bare minimum.
It is yes. And that's what I'm saying is you need at least that for me to say, hey, it's not the goaltending. And the fact that he's letting in soft goals, and I said, he's going to regress to him. The start of the season, he was outrageous, and it was just not sustainable.
Yeah, I agree.
So he's getting back, and I think he deserves more time for him to figure this out. This is a bad stretch.
It's been 3 months, Bobby. It's been 3 months of poor play.
What's his save?
How much more time?
Okay, here. Okay,
it's 2 months. It's 2 weeks to the trade deadline. How much more time can you give a guy before you say, you know what, we gotta look somewhere else? This is a year. This is a huge year for this team.
It is. To further Bobby's point, I'll help him out here. So last year in 22 games, he had a 2.15, and we're talking about Campbell, a 2.15 GAA and a 921 save percentage. That's 22 games. This year in 39 games, he's eclipsed his previous career start in 31 in 2018, 2019 with the Kings. So in 39 games this year, he's got a 2.61 and a 915 save percentage. So just a bit lower than last year, but he has regressed. He had an amazing start. He was like at a 938 at
941.
941. There you go. So you're right. He's regressed back, but he's in and about, the GAA is concerning, but the save percentage.
Yeah, it's good.
It
is.
Guys, the save percentage. Okay. I can live with 915 save percentage, but since December 1st, he's had the worst save percentage in the entire league. That's the last 3 months. So great. He was on fire the first couple months. He was unbelievable. I was convinced that he is a really solid goalie, and maybe he can get back to that. Maybe he can't, though. Are you really going to risk this huge season on whether he can or cannot go back to a level that nobody's ever seen him play before? It's a huge, huge risk.
Okay, so we're going to jump into it. Who's out there? We went through this on Twitter. Who's out there?
At this point, anybody's better. Okay, he's the worst in the league.
Here we go. Alex Georgiev, the Rangers, 3.05 GAA, 897 save percentage. RFA.
What about someone like the guy from Ottawa, Forsberg, who Ottawa's not a good defensive team.
There's another guy who's never been a starter. There's another. You might as well.
He's at least playing better right now. It gives you a different option,
right?
He gives you a different option. I don't know, man. I think it's a huge risk.
I'm going to give you 4 guys. Georgiev was one of them. Fleury, the name's out there, right? 2.91 GAA with Chicago, 908 save percentage, $7 million on the cap, UFA next year. Semyon Varlamov, a 2.76 GAA with the Islanders, a defensive team, mind you, having an awful season, 912 save percentage, $5 million, 1 year left. Here's the guy I would attack if possible, if they go get a goalie. Braden Holtby. He's got a 278 GAA with a 913 save percentage, but $2 million with a UFA. He's won a cup, but he's also playing a Canadian market. So it's a very more of a veteran stability guy I'd probably bring in as a stopgap. But again, nothing jumps out at me as that much better than Campbell. I know the 3 months you're looking at it right now. What have you done for me lately? But I think it would be a big disruption to the room, to be quite honest with you.
It's not a slump at this point. 5 to 10 games is a slump. 3 months ain't a slump. That's concerning.
Joe, I mean, but you think about the guys that Frankie listed. He listed Islanders goalies and Ottawa goalies, who are typically defensive system. And
Ottawa is not a good defensive team.
But do they not play a more?
I mentioned the Ottawa goalie. He mentioned Holtby. Who I don't even know who Holtby plays for this year. Yeah. Who does he play for this year?
Dallas.
Oh, okay.
I just
not a great defensive team.
I just look at a guy like Connor Hellebuck. Hellebuck's got a 902 save percentage this year, and he's still the guy there.
Yeah.
I just don't know where else you go. For
Winnipeg's horrible defensively.
For me, the guy I would go with, and he's not. I don't know if he's going to help you this year, but it's Gorgiev. I don't think it's even close because he's got a ton of upside. But he's not going to help you this year. So I don't know, and the amount you're going to have to give up. I'm sure the Rangers are asking for a haul, but at this point, if you're a Leaf,
not as they once did, Rob. Apparently, not as they once did.
Well, then that might be the option. But if you're a Leaf fan, you got to go. 905 save percentage. The 265 goals against is not great, but for a Leaf team that can score a lot, I'm more concerned about the save percentage because the Leafs can score 3 goals a game, no problem. And
they've had to score 5 in order to win lately.
Yeah, no, he's in a slump, but Joe, his save percentage is still higher than a lot of these guys.
That's only because okay.
So yeah, but he was great for what was it, 3 months, 4 months, and now he's been bad for 2 months.
He was great for October and November. Yes.
You're just hoping that at some point he gets back to that. And this is just that little blip, that little bad stretch. And if you're and you don't really have much, like the Leafs don't have a ton of cap space. I don't know what you're going to trade for a goalie. I don't know what you're going to get for a goalie. I mean, if you're telling me everything equal, I take Marc-Andre Fleury, obviously, but that's $7 million cap hit. I don't know how you're going to fit him under the cap.
You probably need to let double retention, or if Muzzin goes on LTIR, which I do think he's going to. I think they're trying to undersell. Like they want him back. They think he's going to come back just to like sell it. That they're not. They're trying to sell the fact that they're not going to use LTIR when they are. But
so here's going back to the original point and kind of tying this together now. Keefe says the Leafs are really missing Muzzin, and we'll, kind of like shrug our shoulders and eye roll. But in terms of blocking shots, clearing the crease, etc. So here's something for you. The Leafs have missed Jake Muzzin in now 13 games. They've allowed 46 goals in those games. That's a 3.54 against on an average per game. With Muzzin in the lineup, 2.71 per game.
I think there's no question he's a huge contributor on this team. There's no doubt, even in a season where he hasn't been at nearly his best.
Yeah.
And I think we can all admit that. But yeah, he's huge, and he's huge that they're missing him. I agree with that. But
so now you're gonna.
I don't think the defensive play. I don't think they're a great defensive team, but I don't think they're nearly as bad as I see people make them out to be on Twitter. I remember the Babcock days when they were giving 40 shots plus a night, and Freddie Anderson had to stand on his head every night. Odd man rushes, breakaways, all kinds. They are not that anymore. They right now are tied with Tampa in 7th best in shots against per 60. But somehow they're 30th in goals against per 60. I already mentioned since December 1st, worst save percentage in the league. Now you could say, okay, shots, they've allowed less shots, but let's look at the quality of shots because, they're not boxing guys out and there's deflections and all of this. Let's look at expected goals. This is where I don't agree with the advanced stats. If you look at in that time frame, the Leafs rank 2nd in expected goals against per 60 minutes. I think that's crazy. I don't think they're the 2nd best defensive team, but it shows you they're not close to the bottom. Campbell ranks dead last in goals saved above expected since December 1st in that same time. Here's some more for you for the non-advanced stats people, because I know there's people out there that are rolling their eyes at me right now. Leafs goalies have surrendered 4 or more goals in 7 of their last 9 games. Campbell himself has allowed 5+ goals in 7 of his last 14 games. That's atrocious.
Yeah, but these are like to equate baseball. These are the dog days of winter. Like this is like for me. I'm not a Leaf fan, so I'm not as invested as you guys. But I really like Jack Campbell. I think he's got the highest character.
I love him. He's a sweetheart. But so you got to stop the friggin' puck sometimes.
Yeah, I'm
come playoff time.
Drums, man, with Josh G. Golly, I gotta be better. Get mad, man. Make a goddamn save.
If I'm a Leaf fan, I want him to continue to kind of have a real slide here and then say, just be great come playoff time. And my thing with Jack Campbell, the only thing I'm worried about with him is the amount of games started. I think you've got to keep it at a certain level. And I think if they can do like basically like a 50-50 split from here on out, I think the Leafs are going to be fine, because I think Campbell will round it back into form come playoff time.
So I don't buy he's being overworked. I don't buy that at all. He had almost a full month off in December because of that COVID break. Then they had the All-Star break. Okay, he went to the All-Star game. He's been playing every second game. So what? Two games a week? Like it's 1 game a week. Last week he played 1 game a week. Come on.
It's more games started. I again, I said it before the season. You got to keep him in the 45 to 50 range. That's all I'm saying. I don't know if he has the durability to be a full-time workhorse starter. So I think.
So how the hell do you expect them to go on a playoff run and play 4 rounds and 30 games in 2 months? Like how does that doesn't equate?
That goes into it, is that, by the end of it, he'll have played 75 instead of having to play 100. The guy's not a horse, but last year in the playoffs, he was good.
He was good. I know he was, and
this year.
That's why I thought he was legit. Last year, he was incredible. And then this year to start, he was incredible. But this has been a slide, like to go from one of the best. He was just under Shesterkin in shots saved above expected. And now he's close to the bottom, but that's quite a turnaround.
I think this is why people don't want to play in Toronto, is that who cares? His save percentage is still good. He'll bounce back. He will be fine.
I hope you're right. I hope you guys are. I want you to be right. I don't want to be right.
Many times I agree with this guy. when it happens,
I feel like
I want you to be right.
Like Carey Price here.
Here's
Relax.
Here's what my major concern is, and this is my last point for this. To make a change for the sake of making change, you're not only doing harm for the present, but you have no plan for the future. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to stick by this. You guys are going to think I'm crazy, but the last team to win a cup without a goalie that was either drafted or developed within its own system was Anaheim with GSG Garrett back in 2008. That is 14 years worth of teams.
Wow.
That had their own goalie that they've drafted and developed in their system. The Leafs are probably one of the worst organizations to do that, because it's always
the
been
worst.
It's always been a stopgap. It's always been, they tried it with Reimer. I wouldn't say they were close, but they were on the right track there. But it just hasn't happened. So now we look at Joe Wall, Eric Kallagren, Ian Scott. They're just guys. Can they develop?
Akimiatov. Sure. I don't even know how.
Yeah, good looking at a Russia now. But you look at those 3 guys specifically. None of them scream high prospect, top talent. I don't know, but Jordan Binnington, Matt Murray, two guys right off the bat who've come in at halfway through the year, or they've gone on a roll. 20s, 25, 30 games and build momentum in the playoffs and become the starter of the future. Could they do that with Wall? Could they do that with Kallagren? I don't know. Probably chances not, but I think that's where you look next. It's probably going to take an injury. You have 2 guys that are glass, but
there's a difference between those 2 scenarios. Those 2 scenarios were not in Toronto. Cinderella things like that do not happen here. It just never happens.
Campbell did it last year. I don't know.
Yeah, we lost in the first round. So the Cinderella story comes, and it doesn't even come close to midnight. It stops at 8 o'clock.
All I'm saying is the focus has always been on puck possession guys, high octane speed. Where's the most important? They have no focus on goaltending. And that's what scares me, because that is the piece now. That is the centerpiece. Just look at those teams and what they have to win a championship, and the proof is right there. So
it just sucks to me, like having the second best goalie in we've lost 5 straight playoff series. We've had the second best goalie in all 5 series. Yep. And it's just annoying to me. You look at the Rangers. This is a borderline wild card team without Shesterkin. Last night, they won 4-1. They gave up 40-plus shots again. They're like the Leafs were 5 years ago. Shots galore, chances galore, and this guy just saves everything. And it makes me sick, because I want a goalie like that.
I don't think they're a playoff team without him.
I don't think so. And that's, to be honest, that's why I'd have him as my Hart Trophy favorite right now, even ahead of Matthews, because I still think without Matthews, the Leafs would be a playoff team, no doubt. Without Shesterkin, man, the Rangers are just, they're not even there. They're not even a discussion point. Anyways, we've got a couple of minutes left. I wanted to ask you, Frankie, because I know you've watched the games. What have you thought of Nick Robertson on the second line with Tavares and Nylander?
You saw my tweet. He's added. I like it. He's added a nice spark. A very skilled player, tenacious player who has an excellent release. Not there yet. I don't feel totally comfortable yet. Still making some mistakes in his own zone. But in terms of a spark, I already see some chemistry developing with Willie. And, maybe this is that audition, that 2-week audition to see maybe if they have to go out and get another top line winger, who's to say, right? But keep it going. Like, he's playing like he doesn't want to go back to the AHL. And that's, that's that little injection of energy that I think is much needed on this team.
Yeah, I don't think he's ready full time yet, but he's made a couple nice plays. Like today, that pass to Tavares right in front should have been a goal. Beautiful play. He scored a goal. I think he's getting there. Like I think when you look at his trajectory a couple years ago, we thought he'd be in the show by now, playing meaningful minutes, and he's had so many injuries have stalled him. So hopefully he gets there soon. Maybe it is bait though for a trade. That's why they're trying to showcase him.
But too bad he's not his brother. Wow.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Underrated. Whew.
He's okay. He's decent in hockey.
He's doing well. He's doing well.
Got a collection of hats. Tell you that much.
Guess who's got him in the fantasy pool?
Of course you do.
$3.
All right. So Frankie, next week when we record our trade deadline show, you are going to be south of the border. I can't wait.
Live on location. I'll be on assignment.
From Disney World.
Not quite. Not Universal Studios. Not quite, but yeah.
Not bad. All right, guys. Well, I just want to thank all the listeners for tuning in. I know we talked about goalies a lot. But if you could hit that subscribe button, that like button, we appreciate it. Drop us a line, drop us a comment, a question, and we'll even talk about it in the next show.
And
so
keep voting on those polls. It's been awesome.
Yes.
The turnout's been amazing. We're putting up puck and pod trade or questions of the day. Love the feedback, both good and bad. I got reamed a little bit on that one trade offer, but that's what we want. We want interaction. So keep it coming.
Sounds good. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening.